Happy New Year! Welcome 2019! Thank you for joining me on this upload where I'm going to share with you today my December whip update and my kind of closeout for 2018. So I'll show you my finishes. There's not a huge amount of them, but some of them I'd actually forgotten about. It's surprising what a year can do to you, isn't it? So, so welcome. So grab yourself a cup of tea, grab your stitching, your diamond painting, whatever you want to do, and come on this journey with me. I'll see you in a minute. So what I wanted to do today is share with you my December whip update in terms of where I got over the last month. The first thing that I worked on this month was a Christmas piece, and I'll put in a picture of what it will look like when it's finished. So this is a Dimensions gold kit and it's Candy Cane Santa. So here's where I was previously. And here's where I got up to. So this is stitched on, I believe it's 14 count Aida. It came with the kit, and it's like a dove grey. And I didn't swap out the fabric at all, as you can probably guess. It's still stitched on the Aida. The thing with Dimensions kit is, you know, they're called Dimensions for a reason. So, you know, this section here along the windowsill, that's stitched with 5 strands of I think it's DMC these guys use. It might not be actually. I don't know what they use. Might be Madeira thread. Not 100% sure. Anyway, but that's stitched with 5 strands of like tent style. So it's not going to be easy to stitch on a smaller count fabric. So I stuck with what was in the kit, and I got a reasonable amount of progress done. So I stitched a lot of his beard area sort of round, you know, what will be his face. I was hoping to get his face finished, and then I felt as though I needed to swap him out. I could have stitched on him the entire month, I'll be brutally honest with you. I loved it. It was so nice just to do something a little bit different, and I'll keep him out, and we'll work on him from time to time over the next year. There's no big push to get him on the wall for Christmas by any stretch, and when I go through some of my plans, I'll do a different upload for that, because I don't want it to be like an epic hour-and-a-half video. So I'll upload that separately at some point. But I just, yeah, there's no pressure. I'm taking pressure off myself to get things finished. There's nothing that sort of smacking as urgent that I really need to do. So I'll stitch him a little bit as and when throughout this next year, because he is lovely, and you know, if he does get finished, he gets finished. But it's just the variety in the Dimensions kits. If you haven't stitched one, I would really recommend it. There's some beautiful designs, and it's just the variety of the different types of stitch and the number of threads that you would use. The only thing I don't like about it is the blended threads. I hate the blended tweed threads where you're putting 2 together. That drives me insane. That's my like pet hate with stitching. And there's an extraordinarily large amount of back stitching in these as well. So if you don't like back stitching either, which I don't either, you want to avoid them. But they are beautiful. So if you've not done one, I would highly recommend, you know, selecting one, even if you do one of the petites, just to see if you like it. They're as lovely as well. But my the second thing I worked on is my beautiful Lily by Nora Corbett. So I'll put in a picture of what she will look like when she's finished, and where I'd got to last time you saw her. And here she is. So she is ready to be beaded, and there's just a couple of stitches here and there. I've got about 3 stitches to put in down the bottom, and I think there's maybe 1 or 2 over there that I need to do. But other than that, she is ready to be beaded up. I was hoping to get her beaded up over Christmas, but I didn't get a chance. So Lily is stitched, and I don't know how well this is translated in this light. It's a funny light today. It's a beautifully sunny day, but it's, yeah, the light's just off. But she stitched on 32 count opalescent Murano in Bridget's Garden, and I got this fabric from Chromatic Alchemy, and she looks lovely on it. But if you haven't followed any of my sort of vlogmas type videos, you might not have seen the progress on this one, but I've stitched her skin 2/1, so it's like petite point style, and it is amazing. It's the first time I've ever done it on a mirror or anything, in fact, and I can tell you now, she's not backstitched, by the way, so I need to backstitch her as well. So backstitch and bead for her, but I will never ever ever stitch a mirror with cross stitch, regular, you know, regular 2/1, where is it? Yeah, 2/2 again. It will always be this style, because I think it just softens the features, it just softens everything, and I love it, absolutely love it. So yeah, she will definitely be finished next time you see her. There's not an awful lot of beading on these smaller ones, so she'll be blinged up, backstitched, and yeah, ready. You should be done. So I've loved stitching on this, absolutely loved it. And I'd got off the phase of mirrors and Nora Corbett's a while ago, and I don't know why I did. I just didn't bother that much with them, and then I've suddenly got onto the bandwagon of them, and I can't get enough. I don't think you can ever have enough Nora Corbett memorabilia, can you, in your life? They're just stunning. They're absolutely stunning, and the pictures never ever do them justice. The pictures just never do, and you've not got to go off the picture or the photograph or anything you see. You've got to try and find somebody who stitched them, and if you need inspiration for memorabilia, visit Luda's site, Cross Stitch with Luda, I believe she's called. I'll link her channel again. I have linked her in my description bar below, but she, not only is she a beautiful stitcher, beautiful person, but a beautiful stitcher. Her memorabilia collection in terms of what she's done is just outstanding, and it was actually her that I got the inspiration from to stitch the skin 2/1, because that's how she does hers, and I was just blown away by her skin, the skin that she's done. Anyway, enough about that. I worked on my Heaven and Earth design, so it is Steam Heart by Chris Ortega, and I'll put in a picture of where I was last time you saw her, and obviously what she'd look like finished, what she will look like when she's finished. And I've undone the scroll frame for you, because this is how kind I am. I've taken it off the hinges or the stretcher bars. Oh god, there's so much fabric. Just to give you an idea of where I got to. So I worked this page here. Now there's a little bit more to do. I was hoping to get a page finished, but I just got burnt out with it. And this month, I don't know what it is, I've really suffered with neck and shoulder pain, and sitting, you know, with the frame for this one was just wrecking me, and I don't know what it was. I've actually ordered a neck and back massager from Amazon, which comes on Thursday, and I'll show you it in another video. I'm really hoping it will do the trick for me, because I do suffer with my neck anyway. I've been involved in a couple of car collisions in the past which weren't my fault. We've been hit from behind a couple of times, and I think that doesn't help. Plus I've had lower back surgery about 10 years ago, so I think all in all, and I've mentioned this many times over, and the neck and shoulder pain, because I've got tension, is giving me lots of headaches, and they're not migraines, because I have suffered with migraines in the past, but they feel like migraines, and I think it's more tension related because of my neck and shoulders. So I'm hoping this massaging sort of sling thing that I've ordered from Amazon will help me. But I'll let you know how I get on with it, because if any of you suffer with neck and back pain as well, it might be something you might want to consider. But anyway, moving back to this, I did work on this page here and this is more or less filled in. The tip of her wing kicks in, so this is the bottom of the page anyway. There is a little bit more to stitch here, but then I went back up and finished all of this page off as well. So in terms of what's actually finished on here, all of this up here is completely finished, and then across the page, and then that top part. So when I come back, I'm going to finish this page and then come across, so the fabric's over, and work in here, and then I'll come back on to finish her face. So I'm trying to get this section all done, really. That's sort of the goal, because I'm a bit of a nightmare because I stitch cross country and I don't always go for the page finish. I will wander on to the next page, and then there's like a nice block of colour, and I'll think, oh, I'm going to stitch the big block of colour, and before I know it, I'm on to the next page. The other thing with me is I don't stitch like page finishes at a time either. I do try to feather in onto the next pages. So down here, for example, I feathered into the next page, so 2 or 3 of these rows down here are onto the next page below it. And I don't know what it is about my stitching, but you can see the lines. So if I do like a page finish, when I go on to do the next page finish, you'll see where that page ended. And I don't know if it's anything to do with my tension. I only realised this ages ago on the Heaven and Earth I started and sort of didn't finish yet, but I will finish it. But many other people don't have that problem. I don't know whether it's my tension, I don't know what it is with the way I stitch, I don't know, but I cannot just finish a page and then move on. So I do want to get that section pretty much blocked out on her over the next few months, so that's a plan. But I don't want to jump into plans, I don't want to do it. And finally, my last project that I worked on this month, oh my god, I can't put this down, oh my god, I love it. Oh, she is stitched on 25 count Lagana in like a antique white. It doesn't really matter for a full coverage, you're not going to see it, but she's 25 count Lagana 1/1. I like the Heaven and Earth's 1/1 on 25 count. They're lovely. And if I'm stitching like my reindeer that I finished, he was 18 count, so I did in 2/1 cross stitch. Right, okay, this lovely, oh my god, Persephone, a Mirabilia. So my beautiful Persephone. So I'll show you what she will look like when she's finished and where I was last time. Oh, and here I am now. Oh god, I love her, I love her. So I'm stitching her on, it is 32 counts Murano opalescent in slightly nutty, and this is hand dyed by Sparklies, Kate at Sparklies. So it's a really pale pink and cream. It looks, as I said before, it looks like ice cream, it looks like you could eat it, but it's just gorgeous. I cannot get enough of stitching on this piece. She's just stunning. And again, the colours, so I've worked all around here. So I've done this all around and that section there. So this comes down to the bottom of her dress. It's like the edging of a dress, and her hand will be here because she's sort of holding her dress up a little bit, and then there's like a wall thing that comes along there. So that's sort of the edge is around here somewhere. So, you know, I'm not getting there, but in terms of, you know, starting to see a bit of progress, just stunning. And the colours, I mean, I'll kid you not, I don't know how it's translating across colour wise, but it's just gorgeous. Like every time I go to pick another shade, I mean, I've got the shades, I know what they look like, but I'm just like, oh wow, that's such a nice colour. Oh, I just love it, I just love it, and I can't wait to do more on her over the course of the year. I think she's just gorgeous. And if you look at the picture of Persephone, I mean, don't get me wrong, it obviously caught my eye, it's beautiful, but it just doesn't look as good as it does in front of me here. And I don't know whether it's the fabric choice, possibly, because I did start this last year no, the year before, because now we're in 2019. So I started this in 2017, but I stitched it on the permin linen, the sand permin linen that it was recommended, and I just hated it. I hated the linen to start with, permin linen. I have stitched on it many times, but it's quite stiff, and I'm more of an even weave girl now. I think I've moved on to even weave, but yeah, just love it. So I'm looking forward to working on her a lot more. So the final thing I worked on this month, and I did show you some of it in a diamond painting sort of 2019 personal goals upload that I did, is my witching hour, which is a heaven and earth design, which was designed by Lisa Parker. It's in the other room, so I'm just going to take you through there and show you the progress on that. So I'll catch you in a little bit. So here is the progress on my heaven and earth designs, the witching hour by Lisa Parker. As you can see, you know, some more progress has been made. If you watch my 2019 personal goals diamond paint with me, you've seen I was working on the moon at that point. Well, following on from filming that upload, I just continued to work. So I think I've got about 3 more rows to do for a page finish. So it's coming on. It actually looks like pretty good, actually. I didn't realise, you know, when you look at it as it is, it looks really good down the viewfinder, actually. So yeah, so this is a progress on that. I'm hoping to get a page finish next time I show you. So over the next few weeks, it would be good to get the page finish on it and show you the progress. So I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye. So now I thought we would look at my finishes. So bear with me. I'll be back in 2 ticks whilst I get my finishes pulled together, and I'll show you what I got done in this shirt. Be right back. Okay, so the first thing that's popped out of my finishes is my latte kit. So this is one of the Mill Hill kits. If you remember the year prior to this, I'd stitched the cappuccino. So this is the companion piece. As you can see, not framed, either of them, but they need to be, because they are really lovely. I mean, you can never see the bling that's on this. So I started this in March 18 and finished it in June 18, but obviously they never stitched exclusively. Obviously you'd finish a Mill Hill a lot faster, wouldn't you? But yeah, it's just, love the little button on the cup, but the beading in this is extraordinary. But I did just work this on the perforated paper that came with the kit. I don't mind perforated paper at all. It doesn't bother me stitching on it. The only thing is it can sometimes snag on the corners as you're working. You just have to be mindful of that. But I don't have, you can get like little wooden frames, can't you? I think Stitcherista showed a little frame off, but when I looked into them, I don't think, firstly, I could get them in the UK. I think it was going to ship internationally, and I think it was the shipping rate that put me off getting it, so I just didn't. But yeah, I mean, it's rigid enough to be able to just work off it anyway, and that's what I do. But love that, it's gorgeous. Another thing I finished, and this is framed, I did get a frame in. I'm trying to work out, I've got my cross stitch app in front of me, and obviously I document everything I start and finish. So where is it? Where is it? It should be on here somewhere. There he is. Harry Potter's Marauders Maps. I started him in January. It was actually New Year's Day last year, and I finished him on the 16th of February, so it only took me about 6 weeks to stitch this, but this is going to give glare like a beast because it's just regular glass. But yeah, he was a nice little stitch. I enjoyed that. It's obviously one of the Clouds Factory designs, and he stitched on some sort of like, I don't know, it must be like an oatmeal even weave or something like that. Oh, actually it might be linen. That's a linen, it's stitched on linen, and then just framed in a frame that I got from, it's either the Range or IKEA, I can't remember. But yeah, it's the first time I've ever framed anything myself, and I laced it. And I do have an upload. It's one of my holiday crafting was where I laced for the first time. It worked pretty well. I did think I would have to dismantle it and redo it, but actually he's all right. It's not too bad. I was quite pleased with the result of that. So, you know, first time at framing, which, you know, shouldn't be my last, but might be my last. And then finally, sorry, I have this. Now I do love this one. Let me put this on the board for you. Again, this isn't framed. I did buy a frame for it, but it wasn't quite the frame I was thinking of getting. So this is my old Salem broom company. Can you remember this one? So this is a primitive hair design. I stitched this in, what did I stitch this in? Oh God, what? Oh, I can't remember. The hand-dyed threads. It's Raven and Nutmeg. Gentle Arts. Is it Gentle Arts Sampler Threads? Yes, it's Gentle Arts Sampler Threads. I stitched this in. And this is done on a 30 count linen, and it was hand-dyed specifically by the primitive hair for this piece. So it's got some really nice mottling in it. I think it was tea and coffee dyed. I mean, it stunk horrendous when I got it, but obviously the smell's gone from it now. But oh, I love this. So I started this one. Oh gosh, it was the end of 2017, so it was October 2017, and I finished it in May in 2018. So yeah, that border almost killed me, absolutely killed me, but it looks fab and it really does deserve to be in a frame, so I must get that framed. Anyway, next. Oh, this is disappointing, right? This is disappointing because it's my Christmas pieces that I worked on over the summer, and I was so hell-bent on having these on show over Christmas, and I didn't, but I will next year. So the first one was a snowman trio. So I started him in July last year, so I was stitching him outside in the garden and in the summer, and I finished him in October. I finished them in October, so it was the snowman trio. This is by Country Cottage Needlework, and I stitched this on like I think it's like an oatmeal linen. It'll be a 28, 32 count. I can't quite remember. Does it say on here? Yeah, 28 count lamb's wool permin linen with D&C. So yeah, I do stitch on permin, as you can tell, but only now for smalls, because yeah, it's funny stuff, isn't it, permin linen? I'm not saying I hate it because I clearly stitch on it still, but I wouldn't want to do a mirror on one now. And then I finished another Christmas piece. Let me pull this up as well. This is Merry Christmas, My Dear, and I haven't written any linen notes on this, but it's another Country Cottage one, and this is, I got this from so-and-so, so it didn't really have a name. It was like a natural linen with white spots on it, and I thought that it sort of, you know, represented snow. So there they are. I mean, it doesn't, I think really it should have been a bit lighter because the deers do blend a little bit within it. But I started that in June and finished it in July, so it didn't really take that long. It was quite a quick stitch really. And there are in this has, oh, it's DMC and, oh, what threads is it? It's got brown bear in it. Is it Gentle Arts? Or Thread Gatherers? Oh, I can't remember. Honestly, I'm so bad. You will know. It's a fairly common design, but I can't remember what's it. It's got brown bear. It's got raspberry. That kind of colour, licorice green, something like that. Sorry, but anyway, I normally keep a track of what I stitched and what threads I used, but I haven't there. I finished, so last year I got into diamond painting for the very first time. I gave it a go. So I did get a finish on a kit that I bought from Amazon. So it was just a cheeky kit that I bought just to see if I actually liked it. So this, I believe, is called Splat. This, I believe, is called the Enchanted Rose when it's translated, and it was just like a 30 by 30 one that I got just to see if I liked it. Loved it, really enjoyed it. So when did I start that one? It should be on my finishes. So I started it in July and finished it in September, so it didn't take that long, but again, I wasn't working on it exclusively. This is something you could, you know, diamond paint up pretty quickly, with no bother at all. But yeah, that is that one. So really liked it, and as you know, I've continued not heavily with the diamond painting because I love stitching. I prefer stitching, don't get me wrong. I'll never stop cross stitching and take up diamond painting. I enjoy diamond painting. I like it. Do I love it? No, I love cross stitch. I enjoy diamond painting, let's just say that. I think the finish are nice, but I prefer the finish of a cross stitch piece. I do like a bit of sparkle, but I prefer the finish of a cross stitch piece. Let's leave it at that. And then my final finish, which is on the wall, and I'm not going to bring through because you've seen it to death, was, and I'll put a picture in it though for you, is my Heaven and Earth design. This is my Christmas ornament, so the Enchanted Christmas ornament by artwork by Donna Glessinger. And yeah, he's sitting pride of place in my hallway right now, and I will obviously have to move him because Christmas is over and I will have to take my decorations down this week, and he will come down with it. But I'm not going to just put him away. I'll put him either in the room where I do my diamond painting, which used to be my office. He'll go in my office upstairs, or he'll go in my craft room, I'm not sure which yet, but he'll definitely go on a wall because, and then he'll come down at the start of January and go back up pride of place in the hallway. I just can't finish something like that, frame it as beautifully as I have, and then have him stored away in the loft or the attic for 11 months of the year. I just can't do it, and I won't. So he's coming back down, and he'll be going on the wall. Definitely going on the wall. So I am now going to move into like things that I've learned in 2018. So I just wanted to do a little section on kind of, it's not new discoveries. Some of them are new discoveries, and then the other one isn't. So the first one that's not a new discovery is, and I've mentioned it before, but it's rekindling my passion for all things Nora Corbett and Mirabilia. And I mentioned a while ago that I hadn't done a Mirror Lady for a long time. I just hadn't done one, and I don't know why I sort of stopped stitching them. I think it's because I sort of fell down the Heaven and Earth design rabbit hole with all of the like fantasy, sort of modern, you know, different type of sort of image really, and I never fell out of love with them. I guess my taste changed a little bit perhaps, and now I feel, not that I'm never going to work on Heaven, you know I love Heaven and Earth designs, I love full coverage, but I feel as though my like taste is swinging back that way as well, which is no bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm really enjoying my rekindled love affair with Nora Corbett and Mirabilia. So that's the first thing. The other thing that I've discovered this year, and I was always a DMC girl, and if you know previous Mirabilias that I've worked on in the past might have had some Karen Water lilies in, they might have had, I don't know, some whisper thread, or I don't know, something a little bit different. I started working on my autumn at Hawker and Hollow, so this one I know you'll remember this, and I'd never stitched in silks before, and obviously I decided rather than do the DMC conversion that came with the kit, I'd do it a little bit differently, and I really enjoyed working in silk. I mean, even touching it now, it feels lovely, and it's just nice. Not that I enjoy DMC. I find DMC very pleasurable to stitch with. I have no issues with DMC whatsoever. It's good quality, it's nice and glossy, it looks great when it's finished, but just stitching in another type of floss has made, I don't know, it's very different, and it's lovely. And you know, I've never ever stitched in silks, so obviously I kitted this all up in MPI silks, which is not cheap, but I'm glad I've done it, if you get what I mean. Not that it wouldn't have looked great in regular DMC, it would have, you know, I have absolutely no doubt about it, but it's just nice to stitch in something a little bit different. So my other discovery and new passion, I was always very conservative with fabric, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, because, and the reason why was because I felt, and I do still believe this absolutely hands down, that the cross stitching should be the focal point of the stitching. You know, it should be the focal point of the piece, and the fabric is just there as a mechanism to put the design on it, pretty much. And that's always how I felt. Obviously I do quite a bit of full coverage stitching, so to be honest, it's irrelevant what you stitch on. All you want to be thinking about from that perspective is what count you want to do it and how many strands of thread. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. But then, you know, I stitched Electra, was it 2017? I stitched Electra, and although I do love her, going down this route again, I stitched it on the recommended Permin linen, and I don't know, I just think she looks a bit, I don't want to use the word naff, because you can never say an Oricaba or a Mirabilia ever looks naff, but it just doesn't, like, it just doesn't have that wow factor that design should have, because it's stunning, absolutely stunning, and I know you'll remember it. I'll pop in a picture of Electra just so you've got an idea of what I'm talking about. And I finished her, there was a slub on the linen anyway, and I was talking about maybe stitching a pumpkin or a spider on that, which I do need to do so I can frame her. But it just took the wow factor out of it for me, and I never ever wanted to feel the way I felt stitching a Mirabilia as I felt then with the finish. And it wasn't disappointment, it was just a kind of, do you know what I mean? And it just didn't have that wow factor. So I now have started, as you've seen, working on hand-dyed fabrics, opalescent fabrics, just things that are a little bit more pleasing on the eye, and I don't want to go crazy with the colours. So obviously my lily is stitched on Bridget's Garden opalescent. I think this fabric enhances the stitching, I don't think it drowns it. I wouldn't, you know, I don't want to go for anything that's right in your face. I mean, this has got shades of purpley pink and green going through it, and in her there's browns, there's muted greens, and then there's purple and pinks in the wings. So I think that picks it out really well. And then obviously my other mirror, my Persephone, I'm stitching her in Slightly Nutty, which is a pinky cast on it. It's stitched in sand Permin linen originally. I restarted her this year because I didn't like the look of it on that Permin linen, and I am so glad that I did. So for the mirrors, you know, and anything else that I think will look good on a hand-dyed fabric, I will use them, if that makes sense. So I've kitted up a couple of other Nora Corbett's and mirrors, which I will share with you in my plans. God, the birds are going crazy. They're in another room. Oh my God. Which I have kitted up, and I have some fabric already for those that I'm looking forward to start on, and they're hand dyed. Some of them are very muted, so you would never really know that they're hand dyed, but still opalescent, so they're still a bit blingy. And finally, I just wanted again just to shout out my El Bessie lap stand. I love this. I find myself using this to stitch the vast majority of the time now. It's just so useful. It's just such a handy little piece of kit. And it surprised me how good this is. The tensions are absolutely fine on it. I can get it to a good height. There's not a lot more I can say. I mean, I've sort of, I don't know, spoken about this on a number of occasions. I really like it. The only thing that I don't use this to stitch for is my Heaven and Earth design. And at the minute I'm using the Necessaire stand frame that I bought from Glenda at the Scottish Stitching Retreat the November before last. And that's fine. My big Omnique frame at the minute is sitting in my craft room. I've not used that in a long time because I don't really have like a dedicated stitchy space, so it just clutters my living area, my living room, which is a shame. But sometimes it doesn't matter, but if you're getting visitors or you've got friends or family come in, the last thing you want is a massive gigantic cross stitch frame hanging around. But yeah, I found this so useful because I did move on to Q snaps as well, because I felt as though the tension was far better than the hoop, but this hoop's really thick. It's not like a thin hoop, so I do find that I get good tension on it. It's great to take away when I when I sort of stitch. It's ideal for that because I do like to stitch with both hands and not just one. But I love this. So that pretty much is my sort of 2018 wrap up December update done. So I will come back and share some plans with you in the not so distant future anyway, just to give you an idea of what I want to work on, because it's not achieved this year. I don't really care if I finish anything or I don't. I really don't. This year it's about just enjoying what I stitch and stitching what I enjoy as and when. Filming these regular uploads keeps me honest, it keeps me accountable, and I always want to be in a position where every month I've got something to show you, and I will maintain that. That's not something that I'm stopping. But yeah, I'm going to be less regimented about having to have a finish or having to get a Heaven and Earth finish, because there's absolutely not a cat in hell's chance of me finishing Steam Heart this year, or probably even next year. Maybe that's like a 2020 vision. Possibly, I don't know. I'd have to work on it pretty much full time to even achieve that. My God, she's a monster. She's a beautiful monster, but she's a monster. And I think it's only when you stitch like a smaller ornament that I've done for Christmas, or the story keeps, like my gorgeous Simply Meant to Be that I finished the year before. They're a feat in themselves to stitch, if you get what I mean. They're by no means simple and straightforward, but when you come to do one of the full size, full coverage pieces of Heaven and Earth, yeah, like a page finish is a big deal with that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you now. I'm going to go and get something to eat, and then I'm going to take Daisy for a walk while the blue sky is still there. It is an amazing day today. So I will be joining you for a 2019 plan video, as I said, in the not so distant future. So you take care, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support while I've been doing this, for the lovely comments, for the likes, for the subscriptions, for everything that you do. It's so appreciated. You are the reason why I do these uploads, so you know, I couldn't be more thrilled with the level of interaction that you guys give me. So thank you from deep, surely, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. But you have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll catch you soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye for now.